All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the last tips and tricks for 2022. Thank you for joining us today again. It has been quite a journey we have had. Today we are looking at how to navigate through some databases that we frequently use for our research purposes. That is what we will be doing this afternoon. So I am happy to welcome you to this afternoon. For those who are joining us for the first time, I have my colleagues in the background, Drs. Eman Sob and Dr. Ajibola Oladejo, who will be helping me to post the links. SFI YouTube channel has the previous editions of what we have done this year in this program of SFI, the Dr. Nwaru's research tips and tricks. We started off the year by going through how to craft an impactful research question. From there, we went to qualitative versus quantitative research, which is better, who should be an author in a scientific paper, how to craft a standout scientific presentation, growing a world-class research team, what to do when an editor says no to your paper, science and ignorance, how are they connected, scientific failures, how they help us to grow, the p-value mess, its use and misuse in science. And the last edition we had was tips for failure, common mistakes grant writers make. These are all there available for you on our YouTube channel. I think you will receive the link soon from my colleagues. If you missed any of those editions, please visit the YouTube channel to take a look at them again. It is very important that you keep tab with some of these issues. The goal of these tips and tricks, as one of the signature programs of SFI, is to highlight specific issues that sometimes we are struggling with. You can lay your hands in, and of course, in the tips and tricks, we are not covering every topic on a specific, or every area on a specific topic. We are providing appetizers, I will call them, for you to go and explore more and more. All right, so welcome today. We have come to the end of the year, and I wish every one of you compliments of the season. In our own perspective from the SFI team, we can be bold to say it has been a fulfilling year, or a fulfilled year we have gone through, and we hope that as we journey into the year 2023, it promises to even be more beautiful. And you being there, we will do our best to upgrade what we have been doing this year. Just to highlight that next year is going to be exciting because in the things we'll be doing, SFI seminar series, SFI conference, SFI bootcamp, SFI courses, SFI tips and tricks, and the other programs we'll be having, and particularly for the members of SFI, we will be focusing, our program will be focusing on research quality, productivity, and impact. Research quality, productivity, and impact. That is what we'll be focusing on. So it promises to be a very exciting year, and we are excited to take next year to really focus on those areas, because for African researchers, this is an area that many of us are struggling with. So stay with us as we journey into the next year. But for today, we'll be looking at these issues on tips and strategies for searching these databases. All right. What is literature search? It's a systematic and well-organized examination of already published literature to identify the breadth and length of papers published on a specific topic. All right. So we in our own century, or in our own era of scientists, we are quite blessed in the sense that many of the things that we need, that people have done in the past in our various areas of interest, have been documented, and they have been archived in a way that we can go back and identify them. If you look back in the last 20 years, it was less so. If you look at in the last 50 years, 100 years, it was tremendous work to really have a gauge of what people have done in the past. But for us in this era, we can say that we can easily walk through identifying what has been done. We are not at perfect era. No, it's not perfect, but gradually there is a continuous improvement. So literature search is really going back to see what has been done. You have a topic you're interested in. I want to know what has been done. What is there? How do I reach conclusion from what people have done? That is actually what you do. And I tell you, many people struggle with this. It's not a trivial adventure. It's not a trivial adventure. But with some of the tips we're going to look at today, I think there's some clarity that will come to your mind, and you can take it forward from there. And this is to a small part of one of our signature courses, systematic reviews and meta-analysis. I will come back to that, because in the next year, that is the first course we're excited to offer to the ASFI community. So systematic reviews and meta-analysis. So this is a small part of that. All right. So literature search is very, very important for many scientists and for all of us who are doing research. And so it's a systematic and well organized. You have to take note of those so that you do not just go and do things haphazardly. It needs to be systematic. It needs to be well organized. And that is the thing I would like to be emphasizing this afternoon. So as you see, our previous let me see who is annotating my slide. Our previous tips and tricks have been 1 hour. Today is 2 hours, and I hope you're prepared for that. The reason is that some of the things we'll be covering here are quite extensive, so we have put this 1 hour. And the first seminar series, I will come back to that as well, in 2023 will be 1 hour to really be able to dig deeper into the topics. All right, so this is the definition. The purpose is a systematic search is a key step in undertaking quality research. I don't know if you have come to understand that, but this is very, very important. And how do you do research? I mentioned that next year we'll be looking at quality, issues of quality in research as the key theme of what we'll be doing across the different programs we offer. Issues of quality, issues of productivity, issues of impact. So to do a quality research, literature search is part of that process because it allows you to be able to look back and see in an exhaustive way what has been done, what was found, what is not known, and then you can propose your question of the gaps I want to fill with my research. It is really difficult to achieve that if you don't have a good literature search of what has been done. So it's a key step in undertaking quality research. It helps in formulating research question and planning a study. That is very crucial. All right. So as I've said, it helps to assess what is known. It helps us to gauge what is not known. It helps us to formulate research questions based on the gaps we have identified. So looking back, we can check the breadth, we can check the length, and then we're able. Say, for instance, you're looking at the issue of impact of flooding on health of the population. All right, you're interested. Let's say you're from Tanzania. You want to check that. And so the first thing you do is you have to ask yourself, has there been any research done in Tanzania on that topic? All right. And the only way you can know that is to search the literature and to find out what has been published. Perhaps you just check and there is nothing. Then you have a big question to answer. All right. And the window is open. And the argument will be, there is no study showing us whether people who are exposed to flooding have adverse health outcomes compared to those who are not exposed. All right, then you formulate your question. Or perhaps you check it and it's, yeah, something has been done in Tanzania, but what has been done was limited to a remote area in Dar es Salaam and other part of Tanzania that perhaps experience even more flooding than where the study was done, and nothing has been published on that. All right. So you also have a window. You have an argument to make that we know something about Dar es Salaam, but the flooding in Dar es Salaam is peripheral compared to what is happening in this area, and the frequency of flooding has increased in this area in the previous year. And for instance, they are even farmers. So there is a huge impact this may cause in the life of farmers, because it does not only affect the people in terms of dwelling, but also affect farming itself. So you can come to this conclusion only when you search the literature. All right. And literature search helps to draw information for making evidence-based decisions. And that is one of the things when you take our course, systematic review and meta-analysis, we go through these very essential steps of building evidence that will help us to reach decision. And so the systematic review process gives you that opportunity. And so this aspect, literature search, is one of the steps that is taken to reach conclusions that will help us to build research. And literature search is part of academic assessment. When you do your thesis, many students, many PhD, many master students struggle with, how do I look at the literature in this area? Yeah, that is one of the, I think one of the topics we will be covering next year, how to search the literature, how to review literature, and perhaps in your thesis and so on. So this is something that many students struggle with. What do I cover? What topic do I include? What do I not include? How do I even appraise it? Sometimes it can be overwhelming because this part of the work can actually be huge in in your thesis writing process. So for thesis, it's very, very important how to perform your literature search, how to get the studies that are relevant to what you're doing. And if you're writing a scientific paper, the literature search is part of the background you build. Perhaps you call it introduction or background, theoretical framework. The literature search is part of the process you use to build that aspect of academic writing. What are the benefits? Available published studies or published literature on a particular topic are enormous. Trust me. Depending on the topic you're working, sometimes it can be very, very huge. All right. How do you navigate this? It helps you to be able to identify and to categorize and to limit and to summarize. All right. When you search, you can say, oh, well, this literature is so much, let's say, published in the last 10 years. Perhaps I could be focusing on currency literature published during the last 1 year, during the last 2 years, or literature published in the developing countries, or literature published in Europe. And so it helps you when you see that in a topic, the literature is very huge. Through literature search, you can be able to categorize them depending on what focus you want to limit your search. All right. So when you do this, it's an art. For those who just finished our course on art of scientific writing, we emphasize that the scientific writing process is both a science and an art. It's both a science and an art. And the science part is you follow the rules that are there, but an art, you bring innovations, you bring critical thinking, you bring critical analysis, and make things easier for yourself. So it must be an organized step-by-step process you undertake. Without these step-by-step, it can actually be time-consuming and tiring when you do it haphazardly. All right, and can lead, sometimes you start searching and you find very overwhelming papers that are there. You can abandon the project you have actually started. That is why the step-by-step process is required, and that is why we'll be emphasizing that today. So now the literature search is part of the literature review process, as I've mentioned. And the literature review process, there are 3 key things you establish when you do literature review. You establish context for your research, what is known. All right, this is what we know. You cover space for further research, what is not known, what we don't know. And you establish methodological and theoretical context of the topic. All right, how is this research actually done? What do we know from previous literature, how it's done? Can I improve on what is done? For instance, if data is collected through interviews, is there a way, because interviews can be subject to subjective interpretations, and so can I improve the way data is collected on this? So you can use literature review process to establish methodological and theoretical context of your topic. All right, so it's the part of the process. The literature search is part of that process in the literature review. So this is how you do the literature review. All right, you identify your question, you review discipline styles, you search the literature, you manage your references, you critically analyze, you synthesize, you write a review. Yeah, so like we have it here, formulate the topic, then search the literature, survey the literature, collect data, compile. But the literature search is covering part of the first and between the first and the third points there. So it's part of the literature review where you search, identify the studies. How do you identify those studies? How do you collect them? These are not so easy processes, but you can learn them, you can improve in them. And that is what the tips and tricks today is focusing on. All right, the first one is to formulate a topic. Formulate a topic. And if you come to a systematic review, course, we look at the PICO framework, All right, it's not the only framework that is there. There are different frameworks people use to formulate a topic. And you say, well, I know my topic, I know my topic, but the issue here is formulating your topic in concrete ways that will allow you to develop such strategies that will allow you to identify those studies. All right, that is why the frameworks are important. In the PICO framework, you can adapt it. It may not be useful in every context, but I'm just bringing it so that you know you can use a framework to help you formulate your topic. In the PICO framework, the P stands for population, the patient, the problem, the participants. Who are those you are interested in? All right. And the expectation is that your topic should be able to capture those people. All right. I'm interested in the role of or the impact of COVID, long-term impact of COVID. If I say it that way, it's too broad. It's too broad because COVID is affecting people in different ways. Perhaps I'm interested in women. Perhaps I'm interested in men. Perhaps I'm interested in old people. Here I am in Sweden. The population that was affected most was the old people in the old people's home. I may be interested in that set of population. I may be interested in children. I may be interested in health workers. All right, who are the participants? And so what you do here is that you have to export this idea to your own different context, because I know we have different disciplines here. So who are the participants? Who are your patients? Who are your population? All right. The I stands for the intervention or the exposure. Who what are you looking at? All right. I'm looking at the impact of COVID, long-term impact. And this long-term impact of COVID is actually the exposure or the intervention. All right. So somebody has got the COVID. Now I am trying to check what happens to the person in the long term. All right. What is long term? Of course, it may be defined 12 months, it may be defined 2 years, it may be defined 6 months, it may be defined 12 weeks. There are different ways people have defined that. So the I stands for intervention or what the person has been exposed to. All right. So what do we do to them? Did we give them, or it may not actually be a natural exposure like you have the COVID. Maybe that the researchers actually gave the participants something. All right. For instance, you want to see whether taking vitamin D supplement can reduce cold during the winter, and then you give vitamin D to certain people, and you give vitamin C to other people. All right. So you actually performing what we call an experiment. So in that case, we call it intervention. But in the case of the COVID, we call it exposure, what somebody's exposed to. And then you have the comparison. The comparison is, for instance, you have given something to people. All right. You gave them vitamin D. As an experiment, you need to compare to something before you can make a conclusion that vitamin D prevents from cold. And so what we have done here is we give vitamin D to certain group and we follow them, and we give vitamin C to certain group and we follow them. Or you may decide to give what they call placebo, something that looks like vitamin D we have given to one group, but it doesn't actually have any medicinal content. All right. So you can make your comparison, you can use your comparison in different ways to compare to the intervention you have. It is not every study that has comparison. You have to know that, okay? Especially when you do observational studies, not all the studies have comparison. Then the outcome. Now, I've stated that I am looking at the impact or long-term impact of COVID on what? What are you studying? Because if you leave it that way, you can't do that study. All right. Okay. I'm looking at the long-term impact of COVID on I have a study that is going on in that we're looking at respiratory outcomes, lung functions, and things like that. We're looking at neurological outcomes, and we're looking at cardiovascular. So we are looking at this part of the body organs that are tied together: the brain, the lung, and the heart. All right. Or you may be saying, well, I'm looking at impact of COVID on social life, or on workability, and so on and so forth. So you can do that. You can do that. You can do, but you have to define what your outcome is. The intervention you have given vitamin D, what do you want to influence? And in this case, I've said cold, common cold during the winter period. That is the outcome. Outcome is the thing I want to change its course. All right. So this is how the PICO framework looks at. When you have it as exposure, it is called PECO. When you have without the comparison, you call it PEO, and so on and so forth. So you have different variations, but this can help you to build a question that will allow you to identify the studies that have been done previously. All right. So when you use this framework, you are able to achieve that. Now, once you have defined your topic, you are happy, your team is happy, then the question next is to search for the literature on the topic. And there are different platforms depending on which area, which discipline you are working on. There are different platforms. I have tried to list as many as possible here. They are not the only ones. There are many that are out there and cut across disciplines. Some of these are generalists, like Web of Science covers many disciplines. You have Scopus, also covers many areas, but some of these are related to the health and so on and so forth. You also have internet search engines, ResearchGates. Many of us are part of that today, and that is one of the things I think as scientists you need to find a way to belong. Google is there, everybody uses that every day, and the Google Scholar. And of course, reference list of the papers that are included in the papers you have found, and great literature. You can also contact international experts on the field to ask for perhaps additional literature if you don't have. And then when you have now found the databases or concluded on databases, you'll be looking into to extract information, the previous papers, you develop what we call search strategies. All right. And you have to note that each database, to a great extent, has a different way of conceptualizing and searching its databases. All right. We'll come to that, and that is why in this very quick tips and tricks, we have included a number of databases we'll be using to show you how it functions. So the first thing you do is the topic you have developed using a framework like PICO, dissect that topic into different concepts. All right. And in that, you include the component of the PICO. All right. You develop into different, so the PICO is who is your population, what is intervention or exposure, what is a comparison if it has, what are the outcomes. All right. So you dissect the topic into different concepts. All right. And the goal of dissecting is that you are now going into a research of collecting information for each of those concepts and developing a robust search strategy you can put now into the search strategy. All right. Then you produce the search strategy. Look for synonyms of the terms, abbreviations, spelling variants, database specific variations are there. It should be your search strategy should be highly sensitive and should be exhaustive. It should be an iterative process. You pilot it, you discuss with your team, you pilot, you discuss until you finalize. And there are some sites that have developed search filter, what they call search filters, and for some concepts that can help you to identify some concept in some database. We're not going to that. So when you search, be careful with limits like time, language, and so on and so forth. Use the Boolean operators and or truncations or wildcards sensibly. All right. Now, this is a quick one. I have come this far. If you have not attended our systematic review course, there we do it exhaustively. Please, there is a chance for you now. In the next year, it's March, we are launching it. And there are benefits for those who will be doing it in March, because we will expand the databases we search compared to previous editions we have offered a course. We will expand the reference management system we'll be using. We'll also be expanding the meta-analysis platform. Yeah, we have used RefMan before, but this time we'll be including SPSS, using SPSS to do meta-analysis. So those who will be attending in January will have a good broad perspective of the different ingredients and flavors you can add to your semantic review. All right, so let me give an example. I'm interested in knowing mobile phone use and brain cancer, because many people say, this mobile phone people are using every time, put it on the ears, and this is causing some things in the brain. I can't explain that. I'm not in that area, but this is something that is out there. And people are wondering, and people are, oh goodness me, people are using, some people are saying, use your earphone or your earpiece, don't bring the phone close to your head. The question is, using mobile phones, do they cause breast cancer? Do they have adverse effects? How do we know? You know by doing the research. But if you have not done research, people have done it. You go and look at the literature. What have they found? What have they found? All right, that is the topic. So step one, as I've said, dissect the topic into different concepts and collect all synonyms and related terms too. The first concept here, you see here, there are two really big concepts, mobile phone use and brain cancer. Sometimes in some topics, and when we do the systematic review course, the topics we actually, some of them are complicated. They may have up to 5 concepts. They may have up to 4 concepts, 3 concepts. But this is quite simple because that's only 2 concepts. So what we do is, there are 2 concepts. The first concept is mobile phone use. The second concept is brain cancer. All right. So you see what I've said? It's what I've said, that then when you dissect these topics, the next thing you do is collect terms, synonyms of those concepts, terms that describe them, abbreviations, and so on and so forth. So for mobile phone use, we are going to collect all the terminologies that are used to define this phenomenon, this concept. All right, to define this. And then for concept number 2, brain cancer, we also find terminologies that are used to define it. So what I would like to do now is to have you have a feel of how this works. I'm going to send you out. In fact, I thought of giving you 20 minutes, but I will give you only 15 minutes. To each group should work on, find the different terms that define mobile phone use and brain cancer. Find them, collect them, write them down, and then you will come back. So I will divide you. Let me see. How many groups do I divide them now? Because we don't have too much time. Okay, let me divide into 4 groups. 4 groups. All right. So each group appoint somebody. When you discuss, let somebody coordinate it, and then you come back in 1 minute, each group, tell me what terminologies you have found for defining mobile phone use and brain cancer. So please let me open it. Join your room as you see it appear in front of you. Join your room as you see it appear in front of you. And 15 minutes, I'll bring you back. All right, welcome back. Yeah, group one. Who is speaking for group one? Just lift your hand so that I can unmute you or ask you to unmute. Who's speaking for group? Okay, I have Uchechi. Yeah, go ahead. Group two also follow suit. Group three and group four. Tell us.
Yeah, good afternoon, Prof.
Good afternoon.
Compliments of the season.
I wish you the same.
All right, sir. So in group one, we got synonyms for brain cancer, and they are as follows. Astrocytomas for brain cancer, empenomas, glioblastomas, oligoastrocytomas, meningiomas, acoustic neuromas, craniopharyngiomas, medulloblastomas.
All right. Let me stop you there. There's so many masses there. But so you can see what is happening here. You can see what is happening here. That this term is now expanded. All right. In fact, what I have done, I didn't go into deep like that. It looks like you have somebody who is an oncologist or who is in your group that has been able to dig deeper. Okay. But the idea now is that group number one is expanding this. And those terms she's mentioning are the terms you will use to include in your search, so that brain cancer is not sufficient as a term, because it may miss some studies that have used these different masses she has mentioned. All right, do you have something on mobile phone?
Yes, Prof.
Okay, go
ahead. We have cell phone, portable phone, cellular phone, handsets.
All right.
That's all we have to get. Yes, sir.
Great. Thank you. That's great. That's great. All right. You did far better than myself. But anyway, we'll come back to that. All right. I have Ola Ogun. Are you presenting for group number 2? Group number 3, please bring your hand, and group number 4. Let's see what you have. Yes, Ola Ogun. Unmute yourself and speak.
Okay. Good afternoon, Prof.
Good afternoon.
For our group, we are able to have the following as synonyms to mobile phone: cell phones, car phone, radio telephone, cell telephone, cellular phone, digital phone, mobile, and wireless. Those are the synonyms we got for mobile phone.
All right.
Then for brain cancer, we have the following: brain tumor, brain neoplasm, intracranial growth, intracranial tumor, cerebral tumor, central nervous system cancer. Those are the ones we have.
Great. Thank you. So it's the same trajectory. I see that group number 2 has added extra that group number 1 did not capture. All right. And that is why when you come to the systematic review course, one of the things we emphasize is that you need to establish a systematic review team. And this team will constitute methodologies, subject experts, and so on and so forth. Because if you go just having only the subject expert or methodologies, you miss. But when you have a group of people representing different perspectives, you're able to capture those nuances that you may miss. All right. But group number 2, you have to be careful, because when you say car phone, wireless, perhaps you are encroaching to some areas that are not. I mean, mobile phones may share some of those terminology, but not always the case. So you have to discuss that in your group. This term, wireless, does it really fall into place, or we need to modify that? All right. I have Aloysius Bukenya. Please go ahead.
For group 4.
Group 4, go ahead. Group number 3, please raise
so
your hand too, but go ahead.
Yeah, so we besides those that have been mentioned, we had also 4G phone for mobile phone, 4G phone, GSM phone, internet-enabled phone, mobile phone habits. And for the brain tumor, we had, so brain cancer, we had brain tumor, carcinoma of the brain, central nervous system tumor, cerebral tumor, malignancy of the brain, and the malignancy of the central nervous system.
Great. Thank you very much. I think that is so when you say nervous system, is it exactly brain? So you have to think about that as well, so that you do not capture too much studies that are not actually specific to your topic. Okay, so you need to think about this carefully. So at least you have the idea. Group number 3 is shy for coming up, but anyway, so I will show you what I have here, so that we can go through it. Many of the things you mentioned I did not include. I made a very simple search, and I hope that going forward you can expand this in your own context. All right, so I mentioned the first step, which we have done now. We have collected the terms. The next thing is, how do you combine them? Those things you have terminologies for mobile phone, you have terminologies for brain cancer. How do you combine them? And this is achieved through what we call Boolean operators. The first one I want to talk about is and. When you have and when you use it, it helps you to narrow your searches. So let's say A comprises of mobile phone terminologies. B comprises of brain cancer terminologies. So when you do this now, when you use and, what you do is that you are restricting the search to only those papers that include terms of mobile phone and terms of brain cancer. All right. So this is what you got when you search brain cancer, and this is what you got when you search mobile phone. When you use and, you are bringing it to only those studies, a subset of the two terminologies. And the example is this: child and head injury. If you combine this, you see that it will capture only those studies that have child and at the same time have brain head injury. All right. Now the next one is or. When you use or, you broaden your search. All right. So if you use or in combining A and B, what it means is that you're telling the database, give me studies that have A, or just A without B, or B without A, and those who have A and B combined. So you're expanding it. You're going broader than when you use and. Example is this, and what you have done now, you have the different terminologies for mobile phone, you have the different terminologies for brain cancer. So what you do is that for the mobile phone terminology, you use or to expand them because you want to include either of those. And then you use or for the brain cancer terminologies before you can use and to combine them. I will show you how that works as we go now. All right, you have parentheses. If you search this now, okay, if you remove this parenthesis here, this one here, it will affect what you will get. So that is why you use this to show the search engine that I want to have this combined with either of these or either of these. But if you remove this, what may happen is that it will search for these studies that combine this and this together, and then or this, and that is a mess. So when you do your search, you have to use your parentheses sensibly. All right. The next one is quotation marks. You see, if you search this now, you see that here we have put quotation marks. If you search this now, what happens is that it will search for, if you search this now, what happens is that it will search for using or between these two terms. So it will give you studies that have emergency only, or studies that have medicine only, and studies that have both together. But if you have it in this way, the quotation marks, you're telling the search engine, give me studies that have emergency and medicine combined. And that is actually what you're looking for when you say emergency medicine. Truncation. You see the star we have here? We have into bat. If you search this, this is used to help you to not to write a word that has different variations. Perhaps the beginning of it has the same start, but the ending is different. For instance, you have intubation, you have intubating, you have intubate. If you have this, what happens here is that you're telling the search engine, give me studies that start with this and has other alphabets, all right, other endings at the end, all right, so it will capture all these ones. Okay, so this is what I've done, and I will show you in a bit. What you have done is more extensive than what I have done, but this is a simple way you can walk through it, and I will show you what how I come to here. Now, this is Pubmed search, all right? So I'm using Pubmed instead of Medline. Pubmed and Medline are working in the same space. The Pubmed is a free version of Medline, although the Pubmed covers some other resources. Okay, it's more extensive, but the Medline is much more organized, and is based on subscription. So you need to subscribe to have the Medline. So this is Pubmed. Pubmed has what is called mesh. Mesh is what they call medical subject headings. When you submit your paper, okay, to a journal, many journals will ask you, give a list of keywords to your paper. So you go to your paper, you select keywords that represent what you have done, the topic you have investigated, and then you list those keywords. When that paper is being indexed in Pubmed, Pubmed will assign that paper based on the keyword you have supplied to a topic area that that paper belongs to. All right. So papers that have looked at brain cancer and mobile phone use, Medline or Pubmed will assign some mesh terms that represent that paper. And so if you go to Pubmed, you are interested in looking at the role of or the impact of cell phone use or mobile phone use on brain cancer. If you go to Pubmed and you search for mobile phone, all right? Because Pubmed has developed these mesh terms, subject areas. If you search for mobile phone, if Pubmed has called it cell phone, it will bring a mesh to show you that that we have this study in this area. We call it cell phone. Instead of mobile phone, we'll call it cell phone. So if you search for cell phone, it will bring all the studies that Pubmed has put in this area, whether they call it cell phone or mobile phone or whatever the terms you have used here. I will show you how this works so that when you're developing your search, you have to, in Pubmed, you have to include the Pubmed specific mesh terms. All right. And then you can include other what we call free keywords. All right, here is a mesh. We'll also have free keywords. What happens here is that the search engine will also bring studies that have not used these keywords as part of their indexing, but have mentioned it in their paper, but did not specify. All right, so PubMed will search and identify that. So that's why it's important to have both the PubMed mesh as well as the free keywords. And so I have searched PubMed for mobile phone, see whether there is a mesh, and it gave me this, and I've used this. All right, so what I've talked about the Boolean operators, you can see the quotation marks, you can see the Boolean operator here, or, and then for brain cancer, I have also this. If you search for brain cancer in PubMed, what PubMed actually has as a mesh term is that all the studies that have looked at brain tumor, the mass, all those masses, which he was mentioning, and the tumor and the cancers, they all, PubMed has put them as brain neoplasms. All right. So what we do is we go to PubMed, we'll identify these mesh terms, then we'll search, develop our search strategies, we search this, and we sensibly combine them. That is PubMed. Then this is Embase. Embase is a database. PubMed is an American. Embase is British. All right, so that is different, but they work similar. Embase has more extensive resources. All right, and it has its own, instead of mesh term, Embase calls it M3. M3. All right, if you go to Embase, you also search, and Embase will tell you, you call it mobile phone or you call it cell phone. That is not what we call it. All right, so you can see this explosion. If you have this here, it means that Embase has this as an M3 word. This is what Embase calls it. All right. Yeah. So Medline, as I said earlier, and PubMed are the same. All right. There are differences in terms of how they look and some of the things they cover, but they are the same, and they are both American. All right. Okay. So this is the way Embase is the search strategy in Embase is developed, and that is why I told you that each database has its own specific flavor, the way it works, and you need to understand that before you can search that. So in Embase, you develop this together for mobile phone terminologies, you develop for breast cancer, and then you use the Boolean to combine these three terminologies I've searched here, and then you use the Boolean to combine this one before you combine. So number 4 combines these 3. That is why we have 4 here. Number 7 combines these 3, and that's why we have 7 here. All right. For Web of Science, what I do in my own old-fashioned smart way is I develop the search in PubMed, and then I tweak it. I tweak it for Web of Science, Scopus, Sinal. I tweak it. I use the same terminologies I've used in PubMed and remove the mesh, okay? Because mesh is specific to PubMed. And then I just tweak that and use it in Web of Science. So Web of Science, you have to, this is called the TS. I'll remember that. In a bit. So it allows you to search in a broad way what Web of Science has in these terminologies, and you do the same thing for brain cancer, and then you combine them. So this should actually be number 1, and this should be number 2. Embase is not freely available. That is the downside of these tips and tricks, that I'm actually showing you something you may not have, but it's good information to have, okay? And Web of Science is not also freely available. Perhaps your libraries have it. If they don't, it is your right to ask for this, because you need these resources. So you go there and you ask them, please, can you subscribe to these things? And I think for developing countries, there are some judicious discounts they have. As we grow in ASFI, one of our ambition is to really develop, subscribe to these resources in the future. As we expand to make life easier. Yeah, I know we achieve it, and I believe you believe that. Scopus is also similar to what you do in Web of Science, but here it means search all areas in the paper, search all areas, and then you get it in this way. All right. So when you search all these ones, you save the searches, and when you save the searches, you then export to or import it to a preferred reference management system you use. It may be EndNote, it may be RefWorks, it may be Mendeley, it may be Rayan. Today, if time is available, I will show you how you can search these databases and import them to Rayan. And why do you import to Rayan? You import to Rayan so that you can now do the screening, meaning that you sift through it to keep the papers that are relevant to your topic and exclude the papers that are not relevant. When you search, you have lots of papers you obtain. All right, most of them will not be relevant. Most of them relevant, and sometimes it depends on how sensitive your search strategy is. All right, so let me demonstrate what I have been talking about here. Let's go to Pubmed. Let me go to Pubmed. Just stay with me there, stay with me. I want to get this going. Just stay with me. Yeah, let me just mention, if for any reason you want to have this presentation as a slide, please just put your email on the chat box and we'll send it to you after this. So if you want to have this presentation, just write your email on the chat box and we will supply that to you. All right, this is Pubmed. Okay, now I have mentioned if you come to Pubmed, and you should not do this now because you will be distracted. In the systematic review course, we expand this. We allow you to do it. We guide you through it step by step. You become acquainted with what happens. So I have here mesh database. See where I clicked here mesh. So now what I want to do is I come to Pubmed and I want to see what Pubmed has for mobile phone. All right, as a mesh term. So I search it here. All right, so if I come here, it has 3 terminologies for mobile phone. It didn't call it mobile phone. It calls it cell phone. The first one. I'm interested in this. Let me open it. And when I open it, you can see the terms that have been entered here. Mobile phone is included here. Mobile phones included. So if you search in Pubmed, if you search this mesh term, if you search it, it will give you, it will include all these ones as key terms, as mesh terms. All right. And you have mobile phone use as well, utilization of wireless phones for communication. If you search this, it also has use, mobile phone use, phone use, and so on and so forth. All right. Now, the other thing I'm interested in is brain cancer. I want to see whether Pubmed has this. And the only thing it has is brain neoplasms. If you come here, it gives you tumors included, neoplasm, intracranial, and so on. I don't know if it has, yeah, is it, these are the masses. No, it's not the masses, which it was pronouncing. But it has lots of things here it has included. So you have to capture this mesh terms when you develop your search, and that is what I have done in the presentation I have shown you. Okay, now you have developed your search strategy. You have developed your search strategy. What you do now is I will search this. I will search this. Okay, so if you want to put this search strategy we have developed, you use the advanced search system. The advanced search system. I remove these ones I have done before. So I go back to my presentation and I will bring the search strategies I have developed here one by one. I will put this in here. Okay, this is what I've developed and I will search for it. You see, so this search strategy with these Boolean operators, it's giving me about 29,000, more than 29,000 results. I go back to advanced again. In the advanced, if you scroll down, you can see it has this number. And then I go back to the brain cancer one and bring it here. And also search for it here. All right. And it's giving me over 188,000 hits. I go back to advanced. Now I want to combine these two. Okay, so searching within each of these concepts, I use the Boolean operator or, but combining these two, I will use the operator and. So I have added number one there and I'm adding number two with and. All right, so you see, and here it has given the parentheses so that it's clear what is combined with what. All right, the mobile phone terminologies are combined with the brain cancer terminologies using and I search this. When I search it, this is what I get. This is what I get. 351 hits. And I would like to export this out. I take save all results. I take Pubmed. I click file. And it will give me choice and I will save it. I will save it. All right. This is Pubmed. Now, let me take you to Medline. Now, Embase, I mean, this Embase. Embase, I'm using Embase through the Ovid platform. Ovid platform. I like the Ovid platform. Of course, you can get this through Sign Direct, depending on which platform your library is subscribing to. But I like the Ovid. All right. So what I do now is I search for mobile phone. Okay. In Embase. So I search this now. See what Embase will do. Embase has its own way, and the Embase has this list. Mobile phone is explode means that I want you to expand this because the terminologies I am looking at are covered here. Expand it. Now, if you click this mobile phone here, what happens? It gives you the M3. This is what is called M3. So it says mobile phone is used for cell phone, combined, see cellular phone, and so on and so forth. And you go here as well. All right. We would like to add here. We would like to, this is, nope. You see, this one is not helpful because it will give you the other terms here. So we'll restrict it to what it has chosen. All right. If I go back, then I will explode it. I want it to be exploded. All right. These other ones are not relevant to what I'm doing. So I will not select them, but I will also select, in addition to this M3 entering, I will select the mobile phone as a keyword. All right. So that it will search different aspects of the paper. Then I continue. All right. So what happens here now is, this is where it has given me the search. The first one I've searched here, this is the amount. And let me search for cell phone. Or let me give it a space. I'll search for it. And it also brings me to mobile phone. So Embase is saying that we don't have any M3 for cell phone. They are all in mobile phone. So because I have taken mobile phone, I will remove this, but I want to include cell phone as a key term, and I take it. All right, that is separating the words. So let me put them together like this. It also brings me to mobile phone. If you check carefully, when we open this, you see that it also had cell phone together as a word, or separating cell and phone. So I remove this because I've taken this before. I take the second one and I continue. All right. So, and then let me look at mobile phone use. Mobile phone use. Oh, there is no key term. There is no this thing there. Maybe I try this and see whether it will. Yeah. Okay. Now what it has is cell phone use. It doesn't have mobile phone use, and I'm happy with that as well. And I will check this, and I will go. All right. So with what I have done, perhaps those terminologies you have included, those terminologies you can actually bring them in here. But I will stop here because I am happy with this one. Then I will combine it with the or. So what I did was to take these three I have searched and click the or to combine them. And now let me go to brain cancer. Brain cancer. Yeah, it has brain cancer as an M3 word. Brain cancer. You see, this is different from what you have in the mesh for Pubmed. Pubmed calls it brain neoplasms. That is the mesh term Pubmed has. But in Embase, Embase is calling it brain cancer. And if I expand this brain cancer here, what you see is, it says brain carcinoma, brain malignant tumor, different spelling, British America, carcinoma in the brain, and so on and so forth. All right. So these are all captured in the brain cancer. Now, I also have it, brain cancer, as a key word, and I'm happy to continue. And you can also include those words you have brought out for yourself. Let me put brain tumor. Brain tumor. Let me put this one and see what happens. It has an M3 also for brain tumor. And I would like to expand that, and I would like to include it. What about brain tumors? Brain tumors. Like this as a plural. It will take me to brain tumor, but I've included this, but I want to include this as a key term. And let me go to brain cancers. What happens? It takes me to brain cancer. I have that, but let me include this and I move on. All right. Now, let me expand this so that you see all we have been doing. I have searched for mobile phone terminologies and combine them Now let me combine the brain cancer ones with all. All right. So number 5 combines the mobile phones terms, and then number 10 combines the brain cancer one. So I want to combine number 5 and 10 because that is actually the main thing I want to with and so this is what it's giving me: 511 papers that have looked at brain cancer, mobile phone use and brain cancer. But you see, my terminology, my terms are very limited compared to what you have. So this can, in real life, this can be expanded. But let's work with this for demonstration's sake. So I want to now take these 511 papers out. I want to take them out. And this is what I do here. I want to export using the RIS file format, and I want to have complete references, and I export this. And for those who are just coming, please, if you want to have this presentation, put your email to the chat box and we will inform you. So I am done with Pubmed. I am done with Embase. Let me go to Web of Science. This Web of Science, you see, this Web of Science. And the Web of Science is produced by Clarivet. If you know Clarivet, you know, these are the guys, don't tell anybody. These are the guys who actually put those things you call impact factor. They are the ones who put it. All right, they own this Web of Science. All right, it's a very big resource, really. But if you don't like impact factor, just be patient. Let's take it to. But these are the guys who are doing that. All right. Hopefully, it's not doing injury to science, but it seems to have come to stay. The impact factors. So if you come to Web of Science, all right, we'll go to advanced. You go to advanced search. This is the basic interface you see when you come, and we're here to search for document, but you can also search for researchers. You see, if you come here, you can search for researchers. For instance, let's say you want to search for my name. Let's say my name here, let's say it's Nwaru. That's my name, and maybe I put my first name, and yeah, it's giving me different things here. My names are appearing. Then yeah, so it's showing me the papers. No, my affiliation is actually affiliation. It's showing you what it found about me. All right, so you can actually search for yourself here. And when you search for yourself here, for instance here, then let me see other information it has about me. It has information on the number of papers you have in Web of Science, number of papers you have published there. It has indexed, and I think it may have it's a recent publications here. Let's see other information it may have about you. I think it may have the H index, the number of citations you have had, and so on and so forth. That is if you're searching for researchers, but we are searching for document. Okay, if you're searching for document, you see here in Web of Science is a collection of different sources. So he said Web of Science core collection. The edition, if you open this here, is giving you the arts and humanities are included, the science included, social sciences, the conference proceedings index, and so books, everything is here. All right, so that's why Web of Science is a very, very good resource. So if you select, you can deselect. If, for instance, you know that your topic is not, there's no how those in the arts and humanities will capture that, you can just deselect here. All right, but let's keep it. Let's keep it because cancer and mobile, everybody is using mobile phone, and cancer is everybody's problem. So it's possible that those in the arts and humanities have actually done something on that topic. So we leave that. So this is the basic search, but we're not using the big search because we are doing sophisticated things here, as you can see. So we take the advanced search. advanced. And I have done this, but let me clear the history of what I have done. Let me clear it, show you what I have done here. And so let me go to the Web of Science search, and this is what we have looked at before, and I'll bring this here. Okay. Yep. So this is what I have, and I will search this. Okay. I will search this. And so when I search, it gave me, for the mobile phones, it gave me 37,000 plus. And I'll go back to advanced search. The TS is topics. So I'm looking for topics, not just title. I'm looking for topics. So you should search broader than taking other options. So I go for the brain cancer searches, and I'll remove this, and I will search this. Yeah, it's giving me 72,000 plus. And I go back, and what I do is I will combine these two, combine set with and then it has done that, and it's giving me 366 hits. Okay, then I will export. No, not here. Let's open it. When you open it, this is where you export. And I will export. Nay, I want to export all of them. Let me see what it gives me here. Okay, yeah, it's giving me option here. I want to export all of them, and I want to export them as full record. I will export, and it will give me option to save. So I save it as Web of Science, and I will continue. So this Web of Science, the way you do it, see, I'm doing it quite quickly, but when you start like a snail. You go gradually, You have to learn it, all right? Then you are in a good place. Then if you come to Scopus, as you can see here, Scopus. I have also done the searches here, but I would like to clean it up. Otherwise, what you have here is the advanced here. It's advanced here. What you have here is similar to what you have done in the Web of Science. So perhaps I do not need to go through all this. So instead of the TS for Web of Science, you have the all here, and you search Scopus, and you do the same thing, combine similar to what you have in Web of Science, and then you export from Scopus to save it. And then this is Google Scholar. Google Scholar is quite unique. Google Scholar is quite unique. And what Google Scholar does here is, let me see whether quite a lot. It doesn't have. Anyway, Google Scholar is quite unique. Google Scholar is quite free. It's a free, Google has financial interest, so it's not well developed like the other ones, but in terms of how you capture, develop sophisticated search strategies, and then search, so you use simple terms in Google Scholar. If you go to the left here, you have the advanced search. You can formulate this, but this can be tricky, but I show you how I do it. So I use simple search. For instance, I have my parentheses, I have my my question mark mobile phone, then I have all mobile phone name, mobile phone, all right, or mobile phone use, or something like cell phone, or cell phone use, All right, I don't want to put too much. I don't want to put too much. So I will close this and use the and have brain cancer or brain tumor or brain neoplasms. I can have it this. All right. So this simple, and then I will press enter. All right. Mobile. This will give me lots of search. And what you do is that because Google Scholar is not developed like other ones, you have to the process of exporting to other database can be tricky. All right, you have to go through it one by one. All right, for instance, I can select the ones I have, and the recommendation is that because Google Scholar arranges the studies by order of relevance, right? By order of relevance. So the most relevant studies are put on top. And so you go down. So you select, you create a file in your profile. When you're searching, please log into Google, your Gmail account, and so that when you do this, you can work on this. So if I click save here, what I do is that I can create a project, mobile phone and brain cancer. And so it can be quite tedious. So the recommendation is that since Google Scholar arranges studies in order of relevance, so the studies on top are most relevant. By the time, depending on the broad nature of your topic, by the time you go through 200 papers, sometimes 500, depending on how big it is. But this one we're doing here, you can see that from the different databases, they are not so much. Except Scopus. When I did Scopus was more than 3,000. And so what we'll do here is that you can go through 200 and then you stop when you have taken up to 200 papers. Or you can go to 500, then you stop. So I will just show you a few of these here. So I've created that folder, and then I will be saving them one by one to this folder. And so because it's done manually, let me go to the first 10, and then I will demonstrate more. But this is the way you will usually do it. All right. So the first 10, I don't know if I have reached the first 10. All right, let me take this. And then I go to my library. Yeah, in my library, I have, this has now appeared. So because this appeared, it gives me option to export, and I will export all, and I'll export all as ref man. I will click this. If you're using EndNote, you can do that. But because I want to take this to Rayan, that is why I'm saving that. All right, so what have we done? We have looked at how to formulate a question using a framework. We have looked at how to develop the dissecting the topic into different concepts. We have looked at how to develop the search strategy by collecting different terminologies that describe what we are looking at. And then we have now searched the databases, collected the papers, and now I will tell you that we are smiling. We are smiling. You can see that within 1 hour, we are almost finishing this. Okay, we're almost finishing this. But it's not done. It's not done. All right. All right. This is a quick demonstration. In the systematic review and meta-analysis course, we will dig deeper. All right. The question is, what do you do with what you have captured? All right. If you send them to reference management, how do you go through that? How do you make sense of that? And so on and so forth. But anyway, let me demonstrate one for you, at least to give you appetizer, those who are thinking of coming to the course. so that you will not be caught unawares and start from beginning. All right, so now I'm interested in Rayan. Rayan is good, and for those who are using other platforms, it's fine, but I like Rayan because it gives you opportunity to do quite a lot of things. So you log into Rayan, and the first thing we do here is to create a project. So let's call this project mobile phones and brain cancer. We create it. Research field is medicine and human health. Systematic review, is it? Oh, no, what do we call it? We'll call it Dr. Nwaru's tips, and they don't have that there. Anyway, we'll call it literature review, okay? So review domain, biomedical, and then you can put description here, and then you can create this project. Once you create this project, what happens is, you see what is happening here. It wants you to upload the references, all right, in Rayan, and I will select the files. I will select the files. I will go to where I've saved them, and I will select them, and I will take Embase searches first. Yeah, it's bringing it. All right. I select another file. Let me have this as details. Embase searches, I have brought that. Google Scholar, let me bring you. Yeah, Google Scholar is there. The next one is Pubmed. Pubmed is there. So things are working really well this afternoon. Scopus, there are two files because Scopus has limit of 2,000 references you can export at a time. So since I had more than 3,000, I had to do it 2 times. So Scopus number 1 is there. Scopus number 2 is there. And then finally, Web of Science. Web of Science. I bring it that. Yeah, Web of Science is there. And then I will continue. And so now, Rayan is bringing me to where I am going to do the real work. Where I'm going to do the real work. And so this is where I will do the screening. And Rayan is good because it allows collaboration, and it helps you because they have this AI programming style they have put there that can help you. It's a machine. It's a machine that can try to predict actually what you are looking for. Okay, so we have 4,326 papers that we have got from the databases. And so because of the machine learning aspect of this engine, once you upload your references, it tries to figure out what are the key topics in these references and begins to populate them on the left here. So Rayan is good in the sense, for if you're doing your thesis, it's okay. I'm interested in studies, let's say in children. All right, in children. If I want to include studies only in children, for instance, you click here and you can put here children. All right. So what he does is that it identifies studies that have children. If you click here, it will give you the study that have children here. All right. And so it helps you to pinpoint some of the studies and not be distracted by. But if you're doing a schematic review, a schematic review, what happens is that you have to screen all of them. But doing this will also help you. For instance, if I don't want a particular study, let me say I don't want studies done in animals, for instance. I don't want studies done in animals. Then I put animals. So already it finds 174. So this will allow me to quickly remove those studies from my pile. All right. So how do you do that? When you come to Rayan, this is the way the window appears. If I click this one, just watch what happens. You see, There's a drop-down menu here, and this is where I will make my decision. These studies I can include, or I'm not sure now whether I should include or not, and then I can exclude. And so because I have put this terminology here, animals, I can quickly look at these studies and exclude those that I need to exclude quickly. But you read, so you have the abstract here, you read through and see whether if the title is not clear enough, you read through and walk through the screening. And once you have done here, you collect your references and then you move out. What happens is the next step. We are not talking about that here, okay? We don't have time to do that. And that is not the purpose. The purpose is to sensitize you, to show you the things you can do. Some of you have been going through flipping journal articles, flipping it from age to age, and it never gets finished. But this is how life is working nowadays. And I think you can use these tools. All right, so let me finalize my presentation. And so that is the key thing we have here. So I've done the Rayan. All right, the next thing I want to present before we end is our next tips and tricks. The first one in 2023, wolves in sheep's clothing. Wolves in sheep's clothing. And it's very important. I've told you that 2023 is loaded. SFI, it is loaded. We'll be looking at the broad nature of research quality, productivity, and impact. That is what we'll be focusing on. Research quality, productivity, and impact. As an African scientist, a researcher, an academic, how do you advance your research to become more quality, to have more quality? How can you develop yourself to become more productive? How can your research and the work you do become more impactful? These are issues we need to talk about. And if you have followed us in this platform, you can see the emphasis we lay is not just to publish, but publish quality things. So 2023, we are starting with this, wolves in sheep's clothing, how to and not to do bad science in the year 2023. And I hope you're prepared for that. So that at the end of 2023, you look back, you say, yes, this was a good year. I made impact. I did well. So join us on the 27th of January. That will also be 2 hours of breaking it down. It will be engaging, and I think perhaps you are wondering, what is this topic all about? Join us and then we will expand on that. So just to let you know that Dr. Nwaru's tips and tricks continues next year, and we already have the topics outlined. So ASFI membership, some of you have registered, some of you have paid your fees. Please note that without paying your fees, we don't know you. All right. we treat you as those who we don't even know, even though we know you, but we don't know you. Yeah. Informally, we know you. Officially, we don't know you. So the benefits we have outlined here are for those who have registered and paid their fees. So please do that and do it quick, because the earlier you do it, the earlier you start enjoying the benefits that we have outlined here. You know that it's called annual fee. So it takes you from January to December. So if you leave paying your fees until June, it means that you will enjoy for 6 months while others have enjoyed for the whole year. So please do that. Do that. Some of you have complained of the payment. We have given you different options. If you don't have a card, you can use bank transfer, talk to your banks, and so on and so forth. If there are restrictions to your payment, please do that as soon as possible, because we have things that we are launching out for those who are members. And my colleagues are sharing the link to that. All right. I told you that 2023 is loaded. The courses, The first course, thematic reviews and meta-analysis, and there we are taking what we have beyond. So the registration for this course is already starting. We are posting it this afternoon, and you can start registering. All right. My colleague will put the link there as well, and we'll be sharing it on our various platforms so that if you're interested, you can register, and we'll see you in March on that course. Send it abroad, send it to your colleagues. These are tools you need to advance your knowledge base, advance your research. Okay, so we have the tips and tricks that are continuing. We have the match mentoring for members. We have different activities all centered around quality, research quality, and productivity and impact in Africa. So join us. So this is the semantic reviews and meta-analysis course, and there are new things that are coming up. The meta-analysis will introduce SPSS, and for those perhaps who are fans of Stata, we can give you also room for that. And what happens here is that this year, on this edition we are doing, we'll have a pre-course session in which we take you through a tutorial, 2 hours tutorial on how to walk through SPSS and how to begin to think about doing your meta-analysis in SPSS and RAFEMAN, so that when we meet at a course, you will have idea of what you want to do and do it, and do it quickly. And so we'll also be looking at demonstrating the searches in multiple databases. So what we have done here, we are going to expand that and help you to now do it yourself and get a grasp of these databases going forward. And then we're introducing also Mendeley, because many of you are using Mendeley, and then we are of course also relying on Rayan, and many more things will come. And see the fees for those who are members, it is so judicious for you. It's so judicious for you to benefit from this. And so if you want to benefit from that, the members, for Africans, the fee is $200, but for members is half of that. So join the membership, and you can enjoy this benefit. The application starts from today, all right, and ends 31st of January. And we will inform you latest on the 10th of February of how the course goes, and we'll be working on this date in March. All right, so that is for that one. And so the science seminar series will also continue next year. And these are ASFI links, different links, and some of them have been put on the chat box by my colleagues. All right, this is it, and I have some time, and some of you have questions, and I have Nelson, and I have somebody who has. So if you have questions, just ask Nelson.
Okay, thank you, Professor Bright, for this seminary. It was really very important. I have a question. I would like to know, because we have some limitation on access of database. And then for my case, I have access for Scopus, Web of Science, and all those that are freely available. I would like to know what is the probability of missing some reference if I don't have access to, example, Embase and the Medline, the one that we have to subscribe.
Yeah, that is a very important question. And unfortunately, as you have thought, you will probably miss some references if you don't have a comprehensive search. And that is why these databases are coming out. They overlap to an extent, but they don't overlap perfectly. Some of them overlap up to 60%, 50%. But beyond that, it is not, you don't have databases that overlap up to 90%. So it means that if you search Embase and you don't search Medline, or you search Medline or Pubmed, you don't search Embase, you will miss some studies. So that is why it's important that institutions in Africa will take advantage and begin to build their databases. And you see that there's this when you do a systematic review or when you do literature search, it affects every field. It's not only maybe those in the science, it affects every field. So the institutions, and some of you are occupying good positions in your institutions, begin to talk to your institutions to develop your databases. You need to buy into this, and many of them are having very good discounts for those who are coming from developing countries. All right. So I have somebody here who is using iPhone. I don't know the name. Please just see from your side that you can unmute yourself. All right. I don't have the name, but I've given you this thing, permission to unmute you. All right, Zacchaeus, please.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for the privilege to be here. I have two questions. The first one on in tandem with the previous question. Some of us that maybe where we are working, they are not subscribed to this platform for references. How do individuals can help him or herself? Like all those ones you have itemized, if you want to subscribe to them, most of them are maybe institutional based. I'm starting to be corrected. So how do we go about it, especially from African content? That most of the time you do everything, you finance everything. That is another one. But there's another aspect you are yet to touch. We assume that we have sought these references or material or the literature needed for but the combination of those references so that they will flow. What are the next steps to do after you are able to gather?
So come to the course. This tips and tricks stops here, Zacchaeus. You want to get Jara. You want to get Jara. This tips and tricks stops here. For those who are not from Nigeria, Jara means you want to get what's it called? Extra. Yeah, but the systematic review and meta-analysis course will take you beyond that. Okay, how do we combine? So the first thing you do is, because there is overlap between the databases. So you don't want to have, if a study is identified in Pubmed, some studies identified in Web of Science, identified in Scopus. So you want to minimize those duplicates. You want to remove them. So that's the first thing you do now when you bring them together. Like what we have done in Raya now, we have brought them together. We'll first of all remove the duplicates. Unfortunately, Rayan will help you to identify the duplicates, but it will not remove the duplicates for you. So usually we go through an EndNote, combine the searches from the databases, and then remove the duplicates before taking to Rayan to screen. So that is the next thing you do. And then in the course, we'll teach you how to screen. We'll teach you how to take your study forward and make sense of what you have gathered. All right. And then for the databases, the same thing I said to Nelson, unfortunately, my own experience is that many African institutions don't really understand these things, that these are very, very critical things they need to invest on. They shouldn't play with that. Some institutions in South Africa are doing well, they have these things, but there's upgrade across board. And there is really no excuse. If you want to be scholastic, if you want to compete, then you need to invest in that. You need to invest in that and equip your knowledge base and resources that your staff have access to. So I don't know if I can say much more about that, but that is really what needs to be done.
The question is, what can individual do?
The individual.
The challenge is, what can individual do? So because most of our are not responsible and they are not responsible.
Yeah. So what you can do, some people do is that they collaborate with people, and they can ask people who are abroad where they collaborate to help them to search for those databases they don't have access to. And that is one way you can do it. But some of the databases, I think they may also have individual subscription. You can subscribe individually. They can be expensive for you, but I think that is one option you can also take to upgrade yourself.
Okay.
All right, I have Miriam finally, and then we can call it a day.
Good evening, Prof.
Good evening.
Thank you so much for this opportunity, and thank you, because I've actually learned a lot from the year. Thank you so much to yourself and the team. My first question goes thus. I would like to ask that, because I don't know, maybe I missed something, but why did we use, I noticed we used "and" to combine for our final combination in Web of Science and Scopus, but we used "or" in Embase and Pubmed. Is that the case?
No,
I didn't get
no, we use "and" as well. We didn't use "or." So let me quickly show her. Here you have for Embase, so we have used "or" for the mobile phone ones because that is what we need, and that is what you have here. This is the "or," and for the brain cancer, we also use "or" here, and for mobile phone, combining mobile phone and brain cancer, we have used "and" here.
Okay. All right.
Okay, yeah. And then where is my Pubmed? Pubmed is the same thing. It's something. I can't find it here, but it's the same thing. All right.
All right. Okay.
Okay. Prof. Najim.
Can I ask? Sorry, please.
Yeah,
Do we
you
need
have a
the
question?
last one? Please, the last question. Please, when we are searching Scopus and Embase, do we need to add that "all" in front of our query in Scopus?
All. Yeah. So Scopus is all. Okay.
Okay. Yes.
TS is for Web of Science.
Embase, Web of Science. Okay, so we need to add those two things in front of our query.
Yeah, depending on the database you're searching. So if you're searching Web of Science, it is the TS, and the Scopus is all. All right, Prof. Najim, let's take you last, and then we'll close.
Okay. Hello, sir.
Yes, plus, Prof. Go ahead.
Just like you mentioned, that individuals can collaborate to get information or papers from databases. Some of us have databases, like my own institution, we have inexhaustible databases. So we can link ourselves through ESFI. Or other means, if we have a group, through which we can communicate, like we have this research gate. We have a group like that. We can throw questions there, throw some information there. People can reply. Those who can assist can assist. It's part of reaching ourselves at the African level. Even if we cannot go overseas, we don't have partners overseas. Over here, some of us have databases that can be of help. So we can link ourselves via email and get to help to search for literature or databases.
All right. Thank you very much, Prof, for highlighting that. So please, and that is one of the things that come out from the courses we have. You have the platforms there. You belong to different platforms. So please put in this information there and find a way to collaborate and expand your horizon and help each other. I think that is really the way it works. So yes, so the video, once it is populated, will be shared on our YouTube channel. And then those who have given their emails here, please we'll send the PDF of the presentation to you. All right, so I will close it here, please, and we see you in January. We see it in January. All right, thank you everyone, and have a good evening. I think you can speak now if you feel like talking.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Prof.
All right.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year to you.
Thank you for
Bye-bye.
Thank you for opportunity.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Happy
much.
New Year
Bless
to
you, sir.
Thank you
all.
so much, Prof.
Yeah. Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
Bye for now.
Thank you. Happy New Year, Prof. Happy New Year.
Prof. Good afternoon, Prof.
Thank you.
so much, Prof.
Good afternoon.
Happy New Year,
Prof.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, Prof.
Adewumi,
Compliment of the season.
Adewumi, it's not only a compliment.
Yeah.
You have to say it many times. So you have been missing.
Many exact.
Mm.
Prof, it is well. I got swamped.